What is up, guys? It's another random comic books review with me, your host, Corey James. Thanks for watching. Thanks for hanging out. Thanks for chilling here and talking about some comic books with me. Okay, so today we are going to talk about issues 6 through 8 of the Cable series from 1993. This 3-issue story arc in the Cable series was called Fathers and Sons. Sorry, I always want to say Sons and Fathers for some reason. Fathers and Sons. A great story arc. One of my favorites. There's two story arcs in the Cable series that have always been, I don't know, they're just been my favorites. Probably because I've had them in my collection since I was younger. I picked up a couple of these issues of Fathers and Sons when I was younger at a flea market, and I finished with one of the issues recently that I got from a flea market. So it's just been one that was really fun to complete and add on to. And issues 1 and 2, which was Blood and Metal, which I will be reviewing next Sunday, is also one of my favorite storylines, and it's the beginning of the Cable solo story. So the character of Cable is probably one, if not, I mean, it is. He is the most confusing, convoluted, messed up backstory of a character in the Marvel universe, in the X-Men universe mainly. You never know, like, okay, so he was supposedly Scott Summers and Jean Grey's child, and then he got infected with the tech virus or whatever that Apocalypse had released, and to save his life, his mother and father, Cyclops and Jean, send him into the future where they clone the child to try to save him, but then the clone gets adopted by Apocalypse, or stolen by Apocalypse, I should say, and raised as Strife. And the original Cable, Nathan Summers is his name, survives by his telekinesis powers. He actually learns to hold back the tech virus, which is why you see he has a metal arm and he has some metal spots on his body, because it is slowly spreading, but he's pretty powerful. As long as he keeps focused all the time, he can hold it back and keep himself from being consumed by it and dying. One of my favorite characters, but every storyline goes in a different direction of who he is or where he came from, or is he really Scott? Is he the clone? Isn't he the clone? We don't really know. And then he has a son, Tyler Dayspring, who has an even more effed up life and backstory, and there's so much time travel involved that the whole thing it's hard to follow sometimes. That's no exception here in this Fathers and Sons. But if you don't like time travel, then this isn't for you. I personally love time travel. I love time travel in my comic books. It makes for some crazy adventures, and like I said, this is no exception. This is a great, convoluted, messed up story. So, in this storyline, Tyler Dayspring, who is so messed up in the head at this point, he decides to set out and get revenge and kill everyone who has ever done him harm in his life, or messed with him, or, his Cable, Cyclops, Jean Grey, Madeline Pryor, who, after Jean Grey died, they made a clone of Jean Grey, who was Madeline Pryor, who ended up marrying Scott Summers. So there's like that whole thing. And then there's a different timeline where Tyler Dayspring's mother's name is Ascani, and she dies, and then there's another version of her or something. I'm not really 100% sure on Tyler Dayspring's whole backstory. I've followed Cable a good bit throughout my life, but I don't know much about Tyler, except for in this storyline where he's basically another Cable, but he's trying to kill Cable. Cable's clone, at some point, Cable doesn't know if he's the clone or if his clone self, who turns out to be Strife, is the clone or the original one. We don't know at this point. In this story arc, they finally do make that clear and tell you who's the clone and who's not. It comes from a weird place, and it's not really clear on why this person knows that, but it's a comic book, so you just take it and accept it. So Tyler Dayspring sets out to get revenge on everybody that has wronged him. He goes after Strife, who has been suppressed at this point and killed, but resides in Cable's mind. And Tyler Dayspring is also Tolliver, who you see. We'll talk about him more when I review the Blood and Metal issues. But so let me find out. So after the events of the Executioner's Song, which is another story arc in the X-Men, the Uncanny X-Men, that's when Strife's psyche was embedded in Cable. So Tyler enlists the help of Mr. Sinister, knowing that we all know that Mr. Sinister has he is interested in the Summers bloodline, because they're like the most powerful bloodline, and everybody knows that the future of it holds a heavy toll on what's going to happen. So Mr. Sinister's always been trying to do experiments on them and make them have a child, because he knew that their child was probably going to be one of the most powerful children in the world, blah, blah, blah. So Tyler enlists Mr. Sinister in trying to get to Cable. So actually trying to get to Cable and Strife. So Mr. Sinister lures Cable to the gravestone of Madeline Pryor, and he explains to Cable that Cable is in fact the son of Strife. Cable is the original Cable, and Strife is the clone. Sorry. So Cable, Mr. Sinister is the one who finally makes it clear to all of us readers and Cable, because Cable didn't know at this point if he was the clone or not, that Cable is the original baby of Scott and Madeline Pryor, and Strife was the clone. Yeah, he then zaps Cable in this mental probe thing, which releases Strife, and Strife takes over Cable's body. Strife now knows that Mr. Sinister tells him that Tyler's plan was to hunt them down and kill him, but Strife now knows that, who has taken over Cable's body. Strife starts to try to hunt down Tyler Dayspring. His mother, Ascani, sends someone from the future to warn Cyclops and Jean that he's coming. But Strife already makes it there first. Strife attacks. Big old battle. Beautiful artwork. It's like I always say, it's in the heart of the 90s, 93. Big, beautiful colors, big characters. Everybody's got massive bodies and awesome costumes and small heads. It's just great. It is a quick story, but if you've watched the show, you know that I like my stories nice and quick. I'm not going to spoil the end for you, because I think you should read it. It's pretty easy to find. You could probably find it on Comixology. I think they're like $1 a piece. You could probably find it on the Marvel Digital Comics site, probably pretty cheap. You could go to your local flea markets and probably hunt them down pretty cheap. That's what I did. So the Fathers and Sons storyline is a great, convoluted mess of a story that explains... It furthers the Scott Summers story while furthering the Cable story, while growing on Tyler Dayspring's new story. And we get more Strife. Anything with Strife in it, I love. That's why Metal and Blood and Metal, that I'm going to review next week, it's one of my all-time favorites, and it's heavy on the Strife Cable fighting. So this was 1993, obviously Marvel. I don't know the artists at this moment. I should have probably looked that up. You could probably find it pretty easy. Cable made his first appearance in the New Mutants number 87, if you didn't know that. Yeah. So check out Fathers and Sons if you haven't yet. This has been a nice, quick comic books review. If you're on the Suicide Moses Productions channel, make sure you like, share, and subscribe with your friends. Hit that notification bell to be told anytime we put up new videos, anytime we put up new content. We're constantly putting new stuff up. Thanks for watching. Later on.